Good morning, guys. Keith Engle here from TGI Sports Talk. Sunday stream of consciousness. How's everybody doing today? We're a little late. We had a little technical difficulties. I don't know how long we'll be on today, but we'll be on to talk for a little bit, just to make sure we fulfill our commitments to the McCraft Podcast Network and all of you watching out there. Welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups that allow us to share after the fact. You'll see some of them scrolling here in a little bit. Along the bottom, John Gonzalez from the Sports Authority, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, Love for Baseball. How come I can't get my other banner up? I can only have one up today. I'm on a different device today, so it's a little different. Anyway, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, Flo and Keenan from Bottom Line Sports, Let's Talk Sports. Who else? Ken Kraus, Golf Bug Sports of all sorts. Taylor Phillips over there at the Michigan Sports Truth podcast, and all of you who are here and supporting the show. And we're on the road today. We're in Colchester, Connecticut, and I'm trying to get a banner up there. I guess we're not going to be able to scroll the groups today, so we're having a little bit of a technical issue. Hopefully, let me know how the stream is too, by the way, sound, picture, and whatnot. And I am trying to find my banner. It does not want to go up. There we go. Come on. There we go. Anyway, who's with us yet this morning? CA's with us this morning. Good morning, CA. Good to have you with us. I guess you got to hit this twice to get it to come up. Anyway, we'll be here for a little bit. Not sure how long. Maybe could be 30 minutes, could be an hour. We'll see how it goes. And maybe we'll pop on later from an impromptu once we get back into our home studio, if you will. Lots going on in the world of sports, though. I mean, we had NFL preseason of a pretty big slate of games yesterday. There's still quarterback situations and other positional battles still being fought out. Big story yesterday seems to be Deshaun Watson, or serial molester, if you will. And I don't even like saying the gentleman's name, but he was booed mercilessly, and rightfully so. He thinks it's personal. Well, guess what? If it's personal, that's on you, buddy. You caused the vitriol which is being thrown back at you. So I have no sympathy for you at all. Plus, your play stinks. What do you think fans are going to do? Anyway, already got that. Why did my banner keep popping away? That's annoying. In baseball, the Yankees lose, but so did the Blue Jays. Again, let me know how the stream is, because I got a feeling we may have a lag. And if we do, I apologize. And again, I don't know how long we're going to go today, but we'll do the best that we can while we're here. Yankees get bad news and Stanton being out for the rest of the year, probably, as he somehow gets hurt while he's hurt. This is nothing new for Giancarlo Stanton. Skubal gets his first win with the Dodgers, and let's start the Dodgers. They won 5 in a row, so they're ruining baseball. But forget about the fact they just lost 7 in a row. Kate Anderson debuts for the Mariners last night, gets a win. Mariners still in the putrid AL wildcard race. Ohtani getting closer to coming back, but they have lost a couple of starting pitchers there. Padges gets put on the DL there as well. Plus, let's take a look at the American League in the National League altogether. NBA Klay Thompson heading to the Heat, leaving Dallas. The Bama named their starting quarterback, Keelan Russell, which we'll talk more about Wednesday in the college football huddle. The WNBA, Kathy Engelhart, it has to be the worst commissioner maybe in the history of commissioners. She's blaming outside haters for fueling the dysfunction, if you will, and sowing disinformation, whatever. I can't remember her exact comment now. We'll find it here in a minute. But again, the stuff that's happened in the WNBA is there because of the WNBA. They're causing their own problems. And, now they're going to decide what a woman is, by the way. They have rules that say you can't play and you can't enter the league unless you're a woman. Now they're going to decide what is one. They can't get out of their own way, whether it's racial issues, whether it's jealousy of Caitlin Clark and others, whether it's women like Sophie Cunningham speaking obvious, logical truths. WAVA is their own problem. And also, in the I just don't get it um, column. The Little League World Series, by the way, is now the latest thing that you can wager on. BetOnline.com has opened up the Little League World Series for wagering. What? Come on. Oh, God. Anyway, let me know if you can. I see we've got quite a few viewers. I need to know how the feed is because I'm a little concerned that my banners aren't going up correctly. Um, we might have a connection issue, and if we do, I don't want to just send out bad product. So if somebody can comment and let me know how the feed is, I would appreciate it. I think I didn't correctly log out of uh, the roundtable show earlier, which is probably causing a problem. Um, and we can start. And by the way, this is your show, so whatever topics you want to talk about, I just gave you a little starting place. You let me know where you want to go from here. Um, Chris had talked about Chris Epgrave. I don't know if you're with us, Chris, or not. Um, had talked about on the roundtable show this morning on the McGrath Podcast Network that the NFL might be the most forgiving league in the world. Did Deshaun Watson of the world get another shot? I think we could have been misfiring a little bit because James brought up the fact that Bill Cosby, uh, very similar charges against Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby lost everything, millions, tens of millions of dollars, a good part of his fortune. He lost his good name. He lost his career. He was at the end of it, and he also went to prison. What did Deshaun Watson face? Back in the league? The NFL lets guys back that don't deserve to be back. Ray Rice didn't come back only because his career was done and he couldn't play anymore. Ray Lewis involved in 2 murders and comes back. And Deshaun Watson is concerned that this is personal. Well, it probably is partly personal, and also the fact that you can't play. See what the comments look like here. Video's good, and probably the best under your circumstances. Yeah, I don't have a microphone or anything today, so I apologize. Um, what's Chris got here? Bo Jackson talking about getting his first big hit in the NFL. He got up with ringing in his ears, told himself just get to the bench. He got there and ripped and got gripped on his arm. Hey man, you sit over here. He stumbled to the Baltimore bench. So Bo Jackson, great player by the way. But I don't understand these guys like Deshaun Watson. Why would fans not boo you after that performance? And again, he says it's personal. Okay, so let's just say it is. Why is that, Deshaun? Why did they make it personal? Because you are one of the lowest forms of human beings walking here. And am I being judgmental? Yeah. You know why? Because I've never laid hands on a woman ever in that way. Um, you don't deserve to be able to get a second chance. I mean, we had this argument, and we continue to have it, that we live in a country that allows second chances and third chances, and we should be proud of that. Well, um, every transgression is not equal, not in my eyes, right? You have drug issues, you have alcohol issues, you have gambling issues, whatever. Um, those things, if you get a second chance from, you don't when you abuse woman after woman. And it's not about women chasing the dollar, which I think in a lot of cases does happen. Because guys put themselves in a bad situation. This isn't a guy putting himself in a bad situation. This is a guy taking advantage of a situation. Um, and I just have there's no sympathy in my heart for a guy like this. I'm sorry. And again, because it's not one or two people that kind of spoke out against him, it was dozens and dozens. He's not a good guy. He's not a good quarterback. So whatever level you want to look at this on, Deshaun Watson does not deserve your sympathy. And I'm shocked at the again. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I can't get my banner up. Why? There we go. Maybe it's where I'm hitting it. I don't know. Um, anyway, what do you got, Rick? Best point that James conceded. He didn't want them around. Yes, I mean, again, think about that. Isn't that? And again, I understand that these people aren't necessarily role models. Athletes aren't role models, and they don't necessarily need to be. They should be a little bit better than they are in some cases. And I don't have to root for everybody. There's people that I root for. They're not upstanding citizens necessarily. But this guy is one of the worst people that I can remember some people sticking up for. And if you just want to take it from a football standpoint, and again, yes, there are people that I've rooted for that I probably wouldn't want around my family, right? Um, but this guy takes it to a level that I just can't get past, right? And every transgression isn't equal. And if you want, again, you want to take it from a football. Um, I had an echo last. Um, I had an echo last show. My bad. I don't think we heard it, so keep losing my banner every time I put up a comment. It's weird. You take it from a football standpoint. He can't play. Again, I was waiting for somebody. Again, we dismiss things because it's preseason, and I do it. You can't dismiss a good performance by saying it's only preseason, and also dismiss a bad performance. Or I shouldn't say that. I said that backwards. We say a lot of guys. Remember 2 weeks ago, everybody was praising Carson Beck, right? He was tremendous, and there's a lot of quarterbacks who won't even be playing in the league in 2 weeks that have played well this year. Deshaun Watson, you can't say, well, that they're really playing well. They're playing their way on the roster. Preseason games, preseason performance matters. But we dismiss it in the case of Deshaun Watson, who's barely played football for 3 years against second and third stringers. And the Browns are going nowhere. Deshaun Watson is not part of their future. Maybe their immediate future, not their long term future. You need to play Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. I don't care who you play. Play somebody and find out if you have a quarterback. You've got theoretically a banner crop of quarterbacks coming out of college. And I say that knowing last year we were supposed to have a banner crop of quarterbacks, and it turned out to be a dud. So to me, I'm cutting Shedeur Sanders, eating the money, and finding out if I got a quarterback other than one of the kids. Not in reference to Sean, but these days with social media, you're under a microscope. 100%. We feel like we know too much about each other. Tiger Woods, for example, sure he might have problems, but they're amplified through perception through a magnifying glass. Again, I don't disagree, Chris, but I'm not going to just dismiss people's behavior because I know more about it. Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, even you go back in history, and we know about guys maybe after the fact more than during their playing time because of books written and whatever. So you don't have the immediate Ty Cobb. These weren't nice, good people. We didn't know about it in real time because we didn't have social media, as Chris talks about. But we knew about it eventually, and um, some of them lost some of the luster of their playing careers and their stature when they retired because we found out who they really were. But again, we're talking about transgressions, at least that we know about. I mean, we would have found out about Deshaun Watson's issues without social media. Commentary like mine is out there and prevalent, or more than prevalent. But that's what I'm here to do. That's what social media gives you the platform to do. I don't do it anonymously. I put my name to everything that I say. I don't do it lightly. James did say today, and kind of rightfully so, if you're listening, James, who am I to judge? Somebody who knows right from wrong, I think, when it comes to, you don't lay your hands on women, you don't abuse women, you don't sexually or physically abuse women. Um, and I say that knowing that there are people out there looking as James said. I don't think that's the case here because it's not one or two people. It's dozens. And plus, you can't play football. And I don't think that should necessarily matter in his case, by the way. But the NFL is very forgiving, by the way. Don't let the air out of football because you get suspended and or videotape stuff from the sidelines. But if you kill people, you can still play football, you'll be allowed to play. Yeah, it's very frustrating. But from a football standpoint, Deshaun Watson again isn't a shell of the player he was in Houston. Um, so if he thinks it's personal, I don't care. You played bad. You probably are going to be gone from this team, and I think they should be given the reins to Shador Sanders or Dylan Gabriel or both, and find out what you have before the next draft, because there's going to be, as we speak, you know, whatever, 10 months out, no more than that, 8 or 9 months, whatever it is, out from next year's draft. There's theoretically going to be a bountiful, I should say, amount of quarterbacks, really good quarterbacks coming into the league next year. Um, so throw some topics at me that you want to get into, guys. So because we may only go maybe 10 o'clock or so, and go spend some time with Eric and Diane and my wife before we head back to New York. Like Christy Matheson had a scar from ear to ear from a bar fight. He was a nasty drunk. He was an alcoholic. Great player, and that's a good one, by the way. Of people, um, you'd only know if you'd met him. Well, again, but you found out after the fact. We found out that who Christy Matheson was. But to your point, Chris, not in real time, and certainly not during his playing career that I'm aware of. I wasn't live, obviously. But there's a ton of guys that we found out, in retrospect, that they were not good people. And I would say the worst of them, in my mind, um, is Ty Cobb. Just a blatant racist, mean-spirited pig. Now, I don't know that he ever abused women, but um, and we probably, even knowing some stuff about Christy Mathewson and knowing some stuff about the Babe and Nikki and Ty Cobb, and again, there's tons of others. Um, we probably don't know the whole story of any of them. That's another good one, though, Chris. Um, so anyway, Deshaun Watson's one of those things. There are quarterback issues around the league too, and I don't know if they've cleared up. The Colts, for instance, I think they want to move on from Anthony Richardson. Probably wouldn't cut him. I think they would trade him and try to get something. But the way Riley Leonard has played in the preseason, I don't know if they're going to be comfortable doing that. They need a reliable backup given Daniel Jones' injury history, and I don't know if they're willing to bet on Riley Leonard at this point. I like Riley Leonard, but he has not played well. So that's an interesting situation. You still have you have the backup situation in Minnesota. What happened to J.J. McCarthy yesterday, Rick? Did he get hurt? I know he didn't play well, and I'm still kind of high on J.J. And I don't know that I would move him if I was the Vikings, but it would seem that he's fallen to third on that depth chart behind I think Carson Wentz and Kyler Murray. And I apologize if I get anything wrong this morning. I don't have my plethora of information to kind of refer to quickly. Um, but that's an issue. There's a lot of backup situations that warrant monitoring. You got the starting situation in Atlanta where Michael Penix has now been cleared to practice, but we're 2 3 weeks from the season starting. He hasn't practiced at all, and Tua hasn't been good. And I do think that wins and losses. When I dismiss the preseason, right, I'm not really dismissing individual performances. Although I will say, pump the brakes a little bit when guys play really well against guys who will be, driving beer trucks in a month. But it does matter for guys who have changed teams, guys coming back from injuries, rookies. The wins and losses matter not even a little bit. Um, but there are things to keep an eye on, and some of these battles in training camp. Again, the Browns. I think the backup situation in Dallas is in flux. I can't read it. I'm writing on a paper towel today because I couldn't find a piece of paper to write a few notes on. Um, there's a few other situations around the league that we can dive into if you want to. Maximin came up today. Being away, do you have the ability to play the jingle? I think I do. Let me see if I can do it, Rick. We haven't heard the jingle in a while. I like being prompted, so thank you. Here it is.
Keith Engle, the guy with the sports talk show. On the internet, he's the guy that we all know. If you love your sports, he's the guy for you. He has lots of shows on Roku. Keith Engle with the TGI Sports Talk Show.
There you go, Rick. How's that go for you? Listen, I love when Mac's name comes up too because it reminds me so much and usually puts a smile on my face. Jack brought him up today, I think, and he talked about him watching the show from hopefully in heaven or wherever we end up. Um, and I said he's probably looking for the mute button. Tomorrow's show should be interesting with Jack, and we'll be back in our studio for that. Um, but I always think Mac was one of those guys too who just loved backup quarterbacks. Right? He was in love with Bailey Zappi at one point, and he was in love with Joe Milton at one time. I'm like, you want these guys? Give me a draft pick, and you can have them. Patriot, both were Patriot backups at the time. Mac loved them. God bless him. Um, cool for him. But I love it when Max comes up and we get to reminisce a little bit. Um, what? You want to pump the tires again? Well, pump the tires would be to slow down. I think you probably want to speed it up. Let's see. For Travis Fryman, in 1991, he was never considered a top prospect. Some rated rookie cars from 91 were Pete Coachman, Kevin Belcher, Scott Chapanero, guys we don't know who they are anymore. I know I got you on last night and my firm. What? I know you got on that last night, and that firms up my point. Um, what I get on? I'm confused. Maybe it was from Friday about prospects, or again, Travis Fryman was a fine player. I don't remember how he was rated at the time. I do feel like he was a decent. Who did he come up with? The Tigers, or I know he played for the Indians too. I can't remember who he came up with right now off the top of my head. Usually I'm better at that than this. But Travis Fryman, I don't. I thought he was rated a decent prospect, Chris. I don't know exactly. I think I figured out my problem switching from banner to comments. Um, but he was a fine player, really good defensive player, a little bit of pop. Had a few pretty good years in the league. But again, the other guys, if they were rated high, and I don't remember any of those names, quite frankly, maybe Pete Coachman's name rings a bell. Um, but prospects are called prospects for a reason. Speaking of which, I'm going to pop into the to baseball right now too. The Yankees lost yesterday and also lost three losses yesterday. And again, I know Jack kind of slow rolled a little bit Stanton's injury, but because Stanton hasn't played since April, the chances of him coming back and getting in gear before the playoffs is probably pretty slim. But given the Yankees' other injury issues, now they got an injury to Ryan Weathers. We don't know what we're going to get out of Rendon. The Yankee pitching has been their strength, but now we've got some injuries to worry about. The offense has been putrid for the most part. The Yankees are hitting about 229. Their on base percentage is around 300. That is so far from acceptable. And I know people are banking on the fact that, um, you know, Judge will be back, Bellinger will be back. Well, Bellinger's coming back probably in the next week or so, 10 days. He'll get a chance to get healthy. And hopefully, again, hamstring injury, he's never had hamstring issues before. Hopefully, there's no reoccurrence. I'm certainly much more confident in him coming back than Judge. I know Judge started hitting this week. Again, to me, that doesn't mean a lot. When you haven't played in months, he's going to need a minor league rehab assignment, and the minor leagues might be done before he has a chance. Um, and then there's going to be a significant risk of re-injuring yourself. So Yankees, you know, this the best thing Yankees have going for them come the postseason is the fact that the American League stinks. 4 teams over 500. Jack can tell me all he wants about somebody's going to get hot. In 5 months of not being hot, gives me no evidence that any of these teams that are fighting for the third wild card, including teams I liked at the beginning of the season, like the Blue Jays, like the Mariners. I mean, if somebody was going to get hot and make a difference in the postseason, those two teams would be two that I would think about. But, but again, wild card teams, do they win? 7 of them have won in the 30 plus years, 32 years ish of the wild cards. But most of those teams were really good teams, well over 500, got into the playoffs as a third wild card when there wasn't three in each league. So, like the Mariners in 2003, that was a really good team. Um, there's some others that are, again, if I had the list in front of me, I could tell you, we did this one other day. Most of those teams that won, the seven, they weren't teams that just snuck into the playoffs. Or I shouldn't say they might have snuck in by a few games because there was other good teams they were playing against. But we got a battle of attrition between teams that are under 500. There's no evidence to tell me that a team is going to be much better than 500 when they make the playoffs as that third wild card in the American League. No team like that has ever advanced to the World Series, much less won one. Can wild cards win? Yes. Because wild cards back in the day would get in with 90 wins, 100 wins in the case of the Giants. A few years back when Gabe Kapler was the manager. The Dodgers and Giants had a great division race. I see no baseball reference. Yeah, I'm not exposed that much. Usually I'm checking the baseball reference to check myself, right? Um, but everybody's got to have a backup, especially when you're 66 years old, because you don't trust your memory anymore. I do pretty good off my memory, but I'm not infallible, Chris. So there's no King Keith, by the way. But thank you. I could pull a baseball reference up here on my phone, but all right, I'll pull up Travis for you. Am I correct or not? Because now I got to find out. Travis Fryman. Got to put in his whole name. Google doesn't think he's that good. He's 57 years old now. Baseball reference. We love the baseball reference. He came up with Detroit. I was right, and then went to Cleveland. So look at that. I was absolutely right. And by the way, pretty solid player too in his day, Chris. Never a superstar, but a really good player. Maybe All-Star team 4 times. He was in the MVP voting at least twice. And a very good defensive player. I remember no Gold Gloves, but I remember him being a very good defensive player. JB's with us. Hello, JB. How are you? Orioles take 3 out of 4 from Tampa. Swept. Where are they? Where are they now? They're only a couple games out, right? Of the wild card? Come on. Phone's trying to reset on me. Wild card. 1 game out. This is my problem with the American League. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I count the Astros, 10 teams within 2.5 games of the wild card. Problem is, all but 2 of them are under 500. That's not good baseball. That's not parity. That's mediocrity. The epitome of it. But I like your Orioles early this year. Obviously, they kind of hung in there, not playing great baseball. They didn't. They unloaded players like Rushman and Creamer. No major deals or players coming back their way that would help them now, but they played about the same level of baseball they played afterwards. But you can't tell me, and again, I get it. of these teams that are in contention for the third wild card in the American League, do you have any confidence that any of these teams can advance to the World Series based on what we've seen for 5 months? Texas, no. Cleveland, no. Toronto, probably the best shot of the teams that have underperformed up until now. Minnesota, no. Baltimore, probably not. I don't think JB would necessarily disagree with me. Seattle, 6 games under 500 with that pitching staff. And Detroit made a nice run uh, shortly after the trade deadline, but now they've gone back into the toilet again. You look in the National League, you're going to have the Padres or the Diamondbacks. And by the way, the Diamondbacks with Ketel Marte, what a freaking disaster, disastrous distraction that a team doesn't need as you're heading into the stretch run. Ketel Marte disappears in Boston. Then he goes on the DL with an ankle injury, I believe. But then he's out, hanging out at casino saying, pretty much I can do what I want. And Torey Lovello, who knew nothing about his disappearance, knew nothing about his well-being, and the team was concerned about him, he feels betrayed. This is twice in 2 years that Ketel Marte's done this type of thing. But I think the National League, the third wild card there would have a much more realistic chance of advancing. And I don't think it's that good, by the way, because I do think it'll be the Dodgers or the Braves or the Brewers, maybe Philadelphia, who's playing really good baseball again, 8 in a row. They had a great stretch under Donnie Mattingly when he took over for Rob Thompson. Then they had everybody's been so inconsistent this year. They had a very bad run for about a month, and then now they've won 8 in a row again, and they're only 2 games, or they're solidly 2 games in the second wild card. They got a 2-game cushion, and they're only where are they? Only 3 games now back of Atlanta. Not that long ago, they were 8 or 9 games back. What do you got here, JB? If the problem is everybody they're fighting is the same way, though, JB. There's like 5 different teams that are all alike. I do think the Blue Jays and the Mariners have a higher level of talent than, say, the Orioles or Texas, or Minnesota or Cleveland, Detroit, right? So, I mean, even if they made it to the playoffs, which theoretically, look at any one of those 4 teams I just mentioned, 5 teams could make it. More than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams fighting for that last spot. 8. I got to count the Astros because they're only a game ahead of Texas. Good morning, Ken. Make sure you check out Ken and Flo and Hot Rod on the Back It Up Binge podcast. Not Back It Up, that's JB. Bottom Line Sports podcast. Check out JB too on the Bottom Line Back It Up Binge podcast. Boy, I'm all over the place today. I'm out of my element. JB has the Back It Up Binge podcast, and Ken, Flo, and Hot Rod are on the Bottom Line Sports podcast. If you guys are doing it later, Ken, I could be on the road and unable to share it, but you can let me know, and I'll do the best that I can. Braves are slipping. They lost 2 straight to the Brewers. Again, a possible playoff preview. But they have not played good baseball. I think they're 3-7 in their last 10, while the Phillies have won 8 in a row. Not a good look for the Atlanta. Not a good time to be going in the tank here. 3-7 in their last 10, 8 in a row for the Phillies. So Hot Rod's Braves not doing well. I'll get into next week. Probably next week we'll get into doing some predictions. I haven't decided whether to do. I think we'll do it on this show. But possibly maybe we'll do a special NFL preview show. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Depends on how many guys would want to sit through a preview show rather than do it on the Sunday Stream of Consciousness. And by the way, we'll probably be shortening the show to an hour and a half once football starts because I've got to get to um, my football spot, if you will. So we'll probably have an abbreviated show today, as I said. No, it was double A, Rick. Cape Cod League is a league similar to what's the league the Mohawks playing in now? Is it Perfect Game League still, or they've changed the name of that? The Cape Cod League is a college summer league. I think it's a wooden bat league too. But we were at the Hartford Yard Dogs, who's a Colorado Rocky Double A team, and the Somerset Patriots, who's a Yankees Double A team. It was a really fun game. It drizzled most of the night, misty rain. It was a little cool, but we saw a really good pitchers duel for like six and a third, and then Somerset scored 5 runs in the top of the seventh, and Somerset, who had squeaked out a run before that, came back and tied it with 4 in the bottom of the seventh. Then we were scoreless until the 10th inning. Then the Patriots broke it open with 4 on the top of the 10th. It's a fun little ballpark. I love ballparks. Every ballpark has its own personality. This one is really pretty cool. I wish I'd gone to the other side of the park and got another picture because we were sitting out in the right field stands and just perfect angle to watch baseball. But it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I love minor league baseball. There's just a great atmosphere. Chris wants to go back to this. If MLB went to a salary cap, how can you avoid an NHL dilemma? Reinvest year after year, or reinvestment year after year has grown the cap height till you can only spend 39 to 104 million 20 years later. The rich feed the rich. Listen, I'm not for salary caps because again, I'm not for limiting salaries in any way. Again, the reason we're in this position, guys are making so much money, and we have this huge salary disparity, is some owners can't control themselves, and now they want the players to give it back. No, you could have reined this in yourself, and of course, every time the owners try to rein it in, the players scream collusion. But I think the Brewers and the Rays and a few other teams, the White Sox don't have a very high payroll this year, are perfect examples that you can compete for a championship with a lower payroll. Two of the top 5 payrolls in baseball have horrendous records: the Blue Jays and the Mets. It's not just how much you spend; it's how you spend it. Now, with that said, the owners, are trying to protect themselves from themselves. Um, I'm not for caps. Guys are worth whatever somebody's willing to pay them. If they're willing to pay them $50 million, God bless them. If they're willing to pay $30 million for the best players, then that's what the market uh, expects. The market drives salaries. The market drives everything, right? If I'm if I have a service to provide, well, I can charge based on what the market for my services is, whether I'm a plumber, whatever. If I have higher demand, I can raise my prices. Now, if the owners want to dig in their feet, and there are some owners that want to dig in their feet, if they do, they're going to risk having no season next year. And some of them are willing to punt the 2027 season to get what they want and break this union. They're not going to break it. This is one of the strongest unions in the country. Maybe only the teachers union is stronger than the MLB players. Strongest sports union by far. And it's not just the salary cap, right? It's the fact that they want to cap years. And again, if they can restrain themselves and only want to offer 5-year contracts, that's fine. But the players are never going to agree to that. And that's what they've offered right now. You can offer a free agent 5 years, and I can't remember the cap number on individual contracts. So it's not just the all overall contract, which is or payroll, which is 273 million, I think, that the owners have proposed with a or maybe it's 243. I don't have the numbers right in front of me again, but it's pretty high 200 and a floor, which is makes sense if you're going to go that way. It's not just that; it's you want to cap individual contracts as well. 5 years for a free agent, six if it's your own free agent. You can extend players, your own players. I think if it's his first year, you can extend him 12 years. If it's a second year, 11, and so on. Players are never going to agree to this. So if they dig in their heels, there will be no baseball next year. I don't know what that is, Brian. But good morning, Brian. Again, Dodgers roll into town for the Braves Tuesday. Dodgers are playing really good baseball again. I'm glad you brought that up, Brian. Brian's our NASCAR guy. Cam calling out hot rod. Um, NASCAR today at 2 p.m. The Dollar Tree 301 at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I'm not that far away. Could pop over there. Two more races till the chase of the top 16 drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Who's the favorites here, Chris? Or Brian? Who are the favorites here once we get to the chase? Individual races don't matter anymore, do they? One quick note on NASCAR, or the word NASCAR anyway. I talked about it Wednesday night, and I should have brought this up during my little opening when it comes to college football. Um, the powers that be are allowing now players to advertise on their jerseys and their helmets. Two patches on their jersey, a patch on their helmet. I think they can be no more than 4 inches by 4 inches. But we're going to turn the players now into NASCARs, the cars in NASCAR. Yeah, come on. I mean, we don't have enough advertising around the stadiums, around. Uh, it's just, I don't get it. By the way, and they will not be able to advertise gambling sites. By the way, I think Chris or somebody brought this up Wednesday night, and I did check it out that they cannot use or have gambling sites advertised on the players' um, uniforms or helmet. So at least there's some common sense being applied somewhere. And again, I mentioned at the top of the show. Listen, I'm no prude. I like to gamble. I bet on college and pro football. I bet a horse now and again. I'll play a future bet on different things. I'm certainly not a prude when it comes to gambling, but when places like BetOnline.com are posting the Little League World Series games for wagering, man, we are bastardizing everything about kids today. NIL has kind of creeped down into the high school level in some cases, and it's also now creeping into, well, how long before we start selling patches on Little League players' helmets? We're going to allow gambling now on Little League World Series games. Ridiculous. Good morning, Matt. Good to have you with us. Denny Hamlin leads the point standings, followed by, I certainly know Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, and that Ty Gibbs, related to Joe. Joe Gibbs still big in NASCAR, Brian, or involved himself. I know his organization may still be heavily involved. Is he still involved? Tyler Reddick and Chase Briscoe. See, I don't know anybody there except Denny Hamlin. Got to get more into NASCAR. Good neighbor of mine, a golfing buddy and neighbor, is big NASCAR. In fact, he asked about if we talk about NASCAR on my shows, and I said no because um, I just haven't done it much in the years that we've done this because my interest had kind of waned over the years. But now Brian's been getting us back top of mind a little bit, so appreciate that, Brian. I'll have to let Tom know we're more into it. Joe Kids is really big in NASCAR. I knew he was big. I didn't know if he was still, at the top of the heap there with his racing team. if you remember, when Joe Gibbs retired first, he went big in the NASCAR. And I don't know how much, I don't think he divested himself or anything from his racing team, but he stepped away from that when he came back to the NFL for 3 years. I think he'd come back for 3 years with the Redskins, um, and then retired back to NASCAR. So, and by the way, for those of you who have just tuned in, you see a little different view here today. We're on the road in Colchester, Connecticut, at my stepson and his wife's home, where we came down yesterday and went to a double A ball game, a double A minor league game yesterday between the Colorado Rockies franchise here in Hartford, in Hartford, and the Yankees double A team from Somerset, Massachusetts. Good game last night. It was a lot of fun. Jordan's big. Uh, does he have a team? Is he invested in a team, Brian? Because I didn't know that actually. I'm not surprised because he's a competitor, man. He wants to get involved in everything where there's competition. God bless him. I'm not seeing your comments, Chris. Let me go back. I apologize. I'm not doing it on purpose. I promise. I put a few years up, Chris. Which one didn't I put up? I'm going back. Yeah, the last one I saw, let's go back to this, was about the salary cap. Did you see this, Chris? I had this up and I talked about it directly to it. Let me know if you saw this. Again, we're working off the iPad today, so it could be because of that. So I apologize, Chris. If you put other comments up, maybe go back to YouTube and put them up again. Because I know Facebook sometimes people have issues. I am seeing your comments here though from Facebook. So I apologize, buddy. I am not, I promise you, skipping your comments on purpose. I would never do that. Now and again, I mean, Chris, while I'm talking about it, if you see me, Chris, skip your comments, say like on Jack. I put everybody's comments up here. I never miss a comment, willfully. When we're doing the Mac and Jack, the Jack and Keith playbook show, weekend playbook show, I sometimes will skip the comments if they're not terribly relevant to what we're talking about, or it's going backwards. Because Jack, Jack can't handle getting script a little bit. So, but now he told me he's okay going backwards. So we'll see what happens when I do that one time tomorrow. Um, so when I skip them there, don't take offense either. Is all I'm saying. Matt used to buy NASCAR trading cards. I never even knew they had them. Interesting. Good stuff. 23 9 is he's part owner of. Who's the drivers for that team? Gibbs owns 3 of the top 5 cars in the point standings. Jordan has one as well. That's pretty cool. I knew Gibbs was big and Gibbs very successful as well for Jesus 3 decades probably, right? Since he first retired from the NFL. So you're back on YouTube. You see this one now, Chris? So I don't know whatever you didn't see go up, kind of repost, and I'll put it up again. But every one that I've seen, Chris, I've put up. So either you're not seeing what I put up, or I'm not seeing what you posted. I'm going back again. Oh, I missed this one. I'm sorry. Hold on, I did miss this one. It's a little harder for me because when I hit it, the current comment comes over the current ones. Here's one for you. Closing pitchers. We mostly think of pitchers that throw in the high 90s and are big right-handers. When was the last soft tossing lefty closer? Boy, there's a couple back in the 70s and 80s I can think of. Sparky didn't throw all that hard. He threw a slider, was his out pitch. Sparky's the first one that comes to mind. I'm thinking of lefty closers in general. Al Holland for a while with the Giants and the Phillies. Don't know that he was all that soft a tosser though. Sid Manji back in the 70s didn't throw that hard. Trying to think of some other. David Getty, but he threw pretty hard actually. Not a lot of lefty closers these days. I mean, Chapman, he throws heat. Who's the other lefty closers besides Chapman? Are there any? Let me see if I missed anything else you put up here, Chris. Baseball reference. So, by the way, so I did check, and I was right. So I think my reputation still is, is still in place. Pump the tires on Travis. Yeah, I think I got all yours except for that one, right? Yeah, I think that's the only one I see that I missed anyway. One of the drivers under 23.9 is Tyler Reddick, who's fourth in the point standings, as Brian mentioned earlier. Cool. I got to get back into this somehow. Chris, I thought one of the NHL team prospects proposed to the expansion was proposed to the Houston. I thought one of the NHL teams. Oh, I see. Expanding to Houston. I didn't see a comment about Houston, so maybe I am missing some of his comments. People say worry about the preseason. This is Matt. Chargers offense stunk. I don't worry about the preseason. No points at all. Before that, they look good. What a fun game. I'm not concerned. I don't get concerned that much of, except players getting in shape um, and not getting hurt. That's all I'm interested in. I suppose if it's a team that's had several down years and winning and establishing a bit of a winning culture is helpful. But wins and losses don't matter that much. Just stay healthy. Now, I will say, uh, and I guess it's a bit, um, I guess it's a bit hypocritical when I say this, or you know, riding the fence. I don't want guys to get hurt, but I want guys to play because I think the reason we have such bad football in September is the fact that nobody plays in preseason games. They're not enough. But there's a fine line there. You don't want your guys to get hurt in preseason. I don't know. We are talking motorsports a little bit. We have when Brian's around, we do talk some motorsports and keep it going. We're not going to go too much longer, Chris, because I want to get out to the conversation that's happening in the room beside me here. So we're gonna have a brief show. But anything else? Morning, AC. By the way, good to have you with us today. Did you find us okay this time? Or are you back on Facebook? I see. Did you find us on YouTube? Is my question, I guess. Who else is out here? Can I? Can I? I can't see. I can't see who's there. All right. I don't want to screw anything up. Um, that's it. NHL is considering two more teams. That's chatting itself. 33 teams. Two teams up from consideration are Atlanta and Arizona, and then I believe Brian mentioned Houston. And it's the third time around for them. Atlanta. Oh, you're talking about they've had teams before, right? And I know Atlanta's had teams twice, and I guess you're right. Phoenix had I thought one team, but maybe two. Okay, if you failed there twice or three, round three, they both had two teams. If you failed there twice before, or even once before, why are you going back? Unless you're a successful team that left for whatever reason. And why do we need 33 teams? Why do we need expansion in Major League Baseball when we should be probably contracting? I would argue the NHL could probably do the same thing and be a healthier, more successful league. Probably the NBA too. I think there's too many teams. I've said this for a while. I know everybody wants a team, but there's struggling teams that you can move to other locations, which is what happened in Atlanta and Arizona in the past. They struggled and they left. Houston, I don't think has had an NHL team. I believe they had a WHA team, if I remember right, the Arrows, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't remember what the date was off the top of my head, Chris, but I'm going to say, or CA, but I'm going to say yes. I'm good. I'll make it work. I think I missed a draft last year. I don't know. I missed one of my drafts last year, and it really cost me. It's hard to make it work, a time and date work for everybody. You just got to pick one and hope for the best. I do have one tonight. Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, has got a football draft that I'm going to be in. And I did a college one with Danny and Paul Spada, among others, Friday night. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up today. Maybe if I get home early, we'll pop on later. Well, we'll see what Chris has got here. I'll give everybody one more chance to put up a comment that we can dive into for a couple of minutes, and if not, we're probably going to wrap it up so that I can go join that be as antisocial as I usually am. 33 teams with everyone gets in double wild card. Everyone gets in. Is that an actual real thing? They're talking about everyone gets in double wild card playoffs. Can't be. Yeah, they had Phoenix. No, it wasn't Phoenix Roadrunners, was it? Wasn't it? Gretzky ran that team, didn't he? In Phoenix? But they both fail. Why do you keep going back to failed cities? It doesn't work very often. I mean, in baseball, it worked in Seattle, but there was a lot of reasons they failed the first time around. Um, I mean, I think basketball could go back to Seattle because I don't think they left because they weren't successful, either at the box office or the standings for the most part. But you know, yeah, I don't know. You were there, but you mentioned it was late starting, so earlier this season. Was I there? Did I mention? I don't know what I mentioned. I can't remember what I mentioned an hour ago. Oh, late in the day? It doesn't matter to me. Atlanta Flames, who became the Calgary Flames, yes. Well, didn't they have another team now, too, Brian? What's up today? We're going to spend a little time with Eric and Diane, and then we're going to pack up and drive home 2.5 hours. And then probably just chill a little bit. Got a football draft at 6 o'clock. It's really rainy here, and I think it is at home as well. So it's going to be kind of an icky ride home. There you go, the Atlanta Thrashers. That's what I remember the Flames. Jim Craig got drafted by the Flames after his Olympic glory and kind of flamed out there. Excuse the pun. The Thrashers became the Winnipeg Jets. Weren't they already there though? Wasn't Winnipeg in the WHA and came to the NHL after the merger, or was there a different incarnation? People are hunting for Mendoza now in the new tops. I think someone pulled a one of two auto patch cards. So from yeah, I would think. I mean, again, that's speculation, right? You want to get rookie cards of guys you think are going to have Hall of Fame careers. I'm sure that is very important in your business, Matt. And I'm sure that there's more stinkers than there are diamonds. I will. Thank you, CA. And we'll see you maybe Wednesday or maybe tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. It was the incarnation of the second coming of the Jets. Okay, I didn't know they folded once. Because if I'm not mistaken, Bobby Hall went and played. Bobby and Dennis Hall both, I think, went and played for, or at least Bobby Hall went and played for the Winnipeg Jets when he left the Blackhawks. All right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up. I know it's a short show, but we got a few things in, and I apologize for the shortness of the show. And if we have some time later, maybe we'll pop in for an impromptu um, chit chat. But I want to make sure we did a little bit this morning anyway. I told them I wasn't going to do any, so they're probably wondering right how I am. But we'll see you guys later. Matt, you have a great one. Everybody have a great one. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks, Sunday Stream of Consciousness. We will catch you later, guys.